Liz Hall, the winner of last night's Poetry Slam at the second International Poetry Festival in Austin. So, Liz Hall.
Apparently we're running a little overtime, so I'll try and read fast. This is quite a serious poem. I wrote a series of poems about rape called The Raped Woman. And this is The Raped Woman too. It starts with a quote from Erica Yong, which is, "Sex will grow horns and warts. The white sheets of this bed will be splattered with blood." The Raped Woman. The longer this goes on, the purer I become. I have regressed back to young, no breasts, an unawakened womb. Only the bleeding divides my body from childhood's useless red. The lie of fecundity, just another small hassle, needless expense. I should chop it out, it has no feeling. A bad man's touch anaesthetized me. Frigidity, not a sign of sickness, but a sick health, protective malady to save me. I am saved like a coin in a money box, all locked up. I keep the key, tiny but influential, in my brain's inaccessible wilderness, where it's green, peaceful, matriarchal, earth our mother, who nurtures me to grow again, a small cutting, struggling solo under dark canopy, wet and warm, squelchy, mossy, overgrown, hiding from the bulldozer of desire. I keep downcast eyes when men walk by. They have become mysterious other, predator, no lover, in this land of no brothers, this land of undercover detective me, scouring the sky for the star of lust, now turned to space dust. Scattered, the Milky Way hides behind bright ones, trying to learn the art of shining. My brain computes new commands, a biological never before, until this regrowth of hymen, impenetrable, raised my bride price out of anyone's affordability. On purpose, the past forgotten. I am newly virgin, needed no dexterous surgeon deep sleeping me, sewing me stirruped and oblivious. No, I grew this myself from seeds of fear, just enough hole for the red to flow through. Fat wads of cotton I discard, wrapped in sadness, the waste, the lie, the dying cry of all that never was, my children, my dead ones, my buried loves. I have a friend who I call Ms. Ruthie, and she's a hippie, and I was homesick a while ago and I wrote this for her. Across the world I'm thinking of you, sister, your dark mane of hair and ready smile, the way we hug on greeting, rubbing our breasts together and laughing. Across the world I'm craving your kitchen, bright sunlight and excellent coffee, best in the neighbourhood, stained glass casting rainbows on your fine china. Across the world surfaces the memory of us sweating already on your tropical veranda, the morning fecund with lettuces and busy lizzies, how we sucked on mangoes, anticipated solstice. Across the world I can still see the motherly way you stroke daughters' heads when they come home noisily, dusty from the land of sports shoes, science classes and social niceties. Across the world I remember the surf foaming at your naked belly, your strong hands holding to hip your baby, proud in your generous resemblance to an ancient mother goddess. Across the world I peruse a photograph of me and you, old friends under a rising moon, and smell again the scent of that sea and your hair adorned with wild frangipani. And this last one is, I went to see Kathy Acker in Austin a while back, and I don't mind writing about sex, but boy, I got bored with 40 minutes of cunts. And I went with a male friend who got real horny, and it really was a hassle, and I came home and I wrote this poem. And it's called Smooth, Reflections on a Long Love Affair with Pink Disposable Razors. That pink lady shaver razor's out again, and I'm scraping the sides of my head, making temples and lateral lobes of my brain bare themselves like open windows to the sun. It's an angry move, the one I do whenever self-control is gone, whenever I've trusted someone whose agendas I've misunderstood. Why is not a union of the mind or friend enough? Or do I have to spread my legs in payment for time spent? So now my head is once again a combination of smooth and wild punk style. Maybe it's not the fashion now, but it takes me back to my roots, hanging out in squats, limping along in my physical dysfunction on the cold streets of Melbourne, in ragged clothes, for years the uniform of my dispossession. Last night I heard Kathy Acker at the university. She flaunted tattoos and her ability to immortalise the cunts of prostitutes. Her page after page of masturbations made me muse that if Height was right, 70% of the women listening, incapable of the great Freudian vaginal orgasm, were simply plain cool, smiling in the right places and inwardly feeling inadequate. The friend I went with got all hollowed up with all that talk of cunts and probably wished I was a different kind of writer. Still, her male characters hearkened me back to the punk boys I hung out with once, who were mostly kind under tough veneers and let me sleep on their floors, except for the totally bald National Front Nazi bobber boys. We half-shaved girls were something else. Rebels against Vogue and Cosmopolitan, rebels against being seen as booty for the stoned morons who patrolled our streets in hollowed-up cars and blow-waved haircuts. In the brave days, the Sex Pistols, the Saints, the birthday party, standing outside the Seaview Ballroom with poor rotten-toothed and pink-plumed mohawks, a crowd of lurid birds spilling onto the St Kilda sidewalk, I found my true voice of rebellion, jacking up against that middle-class obsession of long, pretty hair that men like sweeping across their bodies as you suck them off and they pretend to tear. With my shaved head and bull terriers, they wouldn't dare to proposition, wouldn't be seen in polite company with the likes of me, which is exactly how I liked it, freedom to walk like a freak through the streets and be overlooked, avoided. It's 10 years on, but I've shaved again this AM, my head and armpits, legs and mons veneris. I am smooth as silk all over, smeared with apricot moisturiser. All this to assuage my anger at alienation and in anticipation of my lover, driving the long miles toward me, who will enjoy my soft legs around him, but sees in me the inside story, devoid of image and propriety. Smooth I am, as the pebbles washed up by the roaring sea we live by, smooth in all the usual places and the ones that made me stranger on these streets, smooth for him to feel so lovingly, smooth for me to fight off this hostility, for others who would screw me, voicing the expectations of gender and society. I wait for his return, supple and soft as a baby, knowing he doesn't mind me hairy, but loves the essential woman and even the sometime harpy screaming within and without me.